Hello, and thank you for joining us for this live Transcending Ascension podcast. Join with our beautiful co-host, Samantha Consciously, and with our very wonderful guest, Sarah Elkhaldy The Alchemist. Thank you so much for being here today, Sarah.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yes, it is an honor as always. And just to warn the audience, we only have an hour, so we'll try to get as much in as we can. So I want to start where something you talked about with Stephen, and it's just long story short, I'm writing a book series on the Nordic runes, but the Nordic runes as characters, and I'm like deep into this world, and I notice like entities as I'm writing, and then all of a sudden you're on Stephen's show and you mentioned the Nordics are archonic. So if you could please expand, like, are the Nordics like Odin, Thoth, and the runes that come from that modality? What do you know about it?
Yeah, there's so many things I feel like when I talk to Stephen that I go like, oh, well, I should have said that. It just always feels like incomplete, but in a good way, not like in a horrible way. So when it comes to the Nordics, I was specifically talking about what some people call probably what the malignant Pleiadians are and they could be called the Pleiadians, but I really like the Pleiadian energy. And when I'm teaching, I don't know, you might be able to notice this. It's more Pleiadian. Nobody wants to learn from an Arcturian. So the Pleiadian streams are the weavers. They're the ones that have the teacher and creative intelligence to teach. Good teachers, I feel like, weave in that level of playfulness. But when it comes to now the shadow side, the malignant, almost like this, for lack of a better term, service to self version of that, that's what I'm referring to when I'm saying Nordic. There are some kind of like more academic, which is crazy, but now esoterica is going mainstream, right? Like now it's like even in academia, they refer to Nordics more in the light that you might be perhaps tuning into when you're talking about literally kind of like the Nordic region and some of the culture. And so that would be more of what would be considered like when we're talking about that and not getting like Pleiadian about it. There's like a level of Aryan. I think you know the RH negative blood. Yeah. See, this is why I'm not doing nothing on the RH. Like anytime I say
Yeah,
that,
are we evil?
like, everyone has RH negative but me, apparently. Yeah, so that's what's really confused me about that, because some sources really go back, like anthropologists, like I forget his first name, but Robert Seffert. He talks a lot. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He talks a lot about Rh negative blood, but when he's talking about it from his research and findings, it's all kind of like pointing to some sort of like Aryan, like global colonization. But then, like RH negative blood has so much different kind of like facets to it. I know that it's more than that. And I know so many for lack of a better term, light workers, just high level positive work, whatever you want to call it, that are RH negative blood. So I haven't gone deeper into that, but that's what I was specifically talking about. You might be, like I said, to be more clear, referring to perhaps that like Aryan group.
You know what's funny is, and Stephen and I went back and forth on this, and it kind of just grew, and that we think like when the Nordics, Odin, Thoth were a thing, humans were denser, and as we evolve, like to where we are now, doesn't it make sense? Like the gods, Zeus, Jupiter, they evolve with us. They evolve their souls, their stories, because they're kind of like archetypes living out a story. And could those same beings have grown into what we see as the Pleiadians and what we see as the Arcturians and the Lyrans and all that now? Could they? Because they've just seemed to pop out of nowhere. And doesn't it make more sense that they've evolved out of prior beings we already knew were here?
Yes, absolutely. And then also what you have is kind of like, are you familiar with the Indigo Threes?
I'm familiar with Indigo, but not the specific three.
So there's different soul contracts for the Indigos.
Oh, the varied versions. Yeah.
Yeah. And you could tell that with how many different types of way there is to serve, right? It's like the most healer, like sensitive, it can be indigo. And then somebody who, oscillates strongly in between, warrior type vibes and whatever have you, and everything in between. And that's because there's these different contracts. And so all that to say, it makes sense that there's an evolution of our mythos, because there should be. We're doing a lot of transmutation, and that would have to play out in the way that we when we're evolving, the way that also, as you said, those forces are evolving.
100%.
Yeah, why I brought up specifically the Indigo Threes really quick is because their contracts are to transmute demonic energies.
I can relate to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that like with the rays? Sorry, just to jump in.
No, go ahead. I was going to say, Sam, what do you want to say?
Yeah, so I watched one of your videos and you were talking about the difference between kind of like a blue ray and an indigo, and it really kind of interested me because I'm just wondering, how big is the spectrum? Is it just that specific, or is it just massive?
Okay, so great question. A lot of different things there's a lot of different names for what could be a smaller paradigm, not super small or narrow, but I will give you an example. I was talking to Stephen after the podcast, and what I had shared was that the people who call themselves the chosen ones, I made a video literally bashing chosen ones, and then like some people were Blu-rays, and then I was like, what? And I was like, oh, Blu-rays had Christian paths. And they got some of that Christian, Abrahamic, Yahweh contamination into an overall truthful story that was just different than how the story I'm getting the story. So even this chosen ones, now I just call them anointed, because anointed is enlightened Christos energy. So it would make more sense to go by anointed one. Plus it's not feeding into like, even though anointed sounds special, like it's not feeding into like a totally Abrahamic programming like chosen ones, right? Because what happened with the other chosen ones before New Age chosen ones? So the chosen one theme is completely Abrahamic. We see that repeating. But then I see it as Blu-rays. So I see things differently when I hear something now, because many of the people, just to finish up that storyline about chosen ones, like they're just not. And they are, I'm sure they're empaths being attacked by narcissists, no doubt, but that it's just not the same vibe. But then you have literally, as I was saying, like genuine starseed or, like higher density beings. And then they're just kind of like getting all into the Abrahamic mix. And you see the difference between those vibes. There's like an exalted version of that storyline. And so how I perceive that is that, like if Blu-rays to starseed, then just anointed ones. But I perceive the Blu-rays as being a little different from the indigos. So there is a spectrum, but it's not like there are just on top of it being more than one thing. There is a smaller paradigm if we start understanding that some names some people are calling something are actually what we see as a different name.
Yeah, so it's like a language barrier more than anything, isn't it? It's just the way that we interpret things. Yeah, you see that a lot in the spiritual community, don't you? That's the problem. Like one person will talk about one thing and you don't realise, you think you're actually coming at different angles, but really it's kind of, it'd be nice if there was like a level playing field, like we had some sort of spiritual dictionary where we all just agreed and we're like, this is what we're talking about, and this is what we mean by this. I just think that's a bit of a confusion, isn't it?
Yeah, with the labels, like it doesn't bother me as much. It's when people, it's just a part of my own growth. I get triggered still when people are at their phase of growth. And it's kind of like a toddler, the way a toddler has only like tunnel vision. And they go like, no, you're doing whatever wrong. And it's like insulting because they're at a more toddler stage of growth, and so they're louder and whatever, and it's just a reflection of how I used to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it comes with that broadening of the perspective, and that's why, like, that chosen term, I'm pretty like, you're choosing the all is mind, and some of us were put in here like with higher, like, coding, and that's one question I had about the RH negative. Like, I've heard, because the thing is you hear everything which way of the wind in pretty much all the modalities we're coming across, including RH negative. Oh, it's good, it's bad, it's this, it's that, you know, and it's like coming to some kind of consensus to formulate like our literal future. The all is mind. We're the ones making the future. So like broadening our perspectives is so key right now, because I think we're amalgamating all the terms, and given another decade or so, probably less with the speed up, we will have some kind of formulated language and then a way to proceed further where we can talk to each other as it's, like you said, becoming mainstream. And then so the main, you know, and hopefully we can just stay aware and stay on top of it so other things don't take over the topics. But when it comes to the RH negative, one of the things I've heard is that they can be very programmable, but I've heard the exact opposite. But let's just take that example though as programmable, and sleeper agents, and how you can program an RH negative better. Like, apparently like Russia used this and stuff as sleeper agents to wake them up with code words, like the literal Russian thing you've heard, but like for anything. But take that and put it in a star seed, and program, if you could use it for evil, you could use it for good, and set them up on a life where, like, because I hear a lot of people talking about walk-ins, where I could think it's just like a new program coming online, like a sleeper agent, but used for good. And it's just turning online when the timeline is correct. Like when it hits, like the trigger word is instead a vibrational frequency that just all of us, because we're seeing tons of people like rapidly come online and just like that.
Yeah. And if you met me, 444, if you met me 20 years ago, you'd easily be like, what, this is a walk-in. This is a walk-in. So there is validity to that. Like I see Byron Katie and Eckhart Tolle as genuine walk-ins, like literally tag team, soul contract, in, out. And then, you know, there's some people who I think might just be going through very strong activations. And those activations, when you're activating specific parts of your DNA or specific constellations even that start working, it gets multidimensional. One thing about me that like it can put people off is kind of like how I don't fit your typical type of human in a gender type of thing. And that's because, as you could tell, it's like, don't give a fuck. Like it's a bunch of constellations. So, and I noticed that with star seeds in general. That's why I don't want that name to go out of style, even though now it's getting placed in some Uber, almost like a special, like slow type. Like it's like, oh, starseed's so new age, but actually it's truth to it. And I have the most relief specifically in my, you know, heart area. I have the most relief around other starseeds. So it's obviously, you guys know it's a real thing. And yes, everything can become stupid. There's always a mockery of any concept or of any culture. There's always some people that take it too far and are usually the ones that are farthest from the genuine, you know, source of the concept itself. But starseed is real, obviously. And that's what happens with these walk-ins. They're like, many of them are activating more of their celestial, specific, even star group constellations. And it's so vastly different from how their operating system or their self was.
Yeah. I've just got a quick question about that. So I watched one of your videos and you talked about the oversoul and how that kind of like comes down and it's like the starting point, isn't it, for individuation? And we come from the oversoul, and there's groups, isn't there, within the oversoul?
Yeah.
And I'm wondering how that would tie into each star seed and constellation, because this is the bit that really confuses me. I'm trying to get my head around it. So I'm aware that there's an oversoul, and I'm aware that there's groups that come in together on certain missions. But what I don't understand is how that then correlates to different star systems, because do you see what I mean? I can't really pick it
I'm
up.
almost there. Like, I'm following you, but
Yeah.
I just need like one more thing. Like, are you basically saying that if we come in as a group of oversoul, how large is each oversoul? Because there seems to be a lot of us. Did we oversoul here together, or did we oversoul on the other side together? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So it's kind of like, what's the connection to this? Because if we're all from the same oversoul, I know we're all multidimensional, we've all had different incarnations and different, star systems, but we seem to resonate more with like one or the other, and I'm just wondering how it all fits together. Like it's like an upside down tree almost, isn't it? Like the oversoul's like a tree and all the roots come down, and like this incarnation is just a bit of the root. That's kind of how I see it.
Yeah. So it's both. We incarnate with some of our oversoul here. So
Okay.
other soul streams here. It will typically be for a mission. So it will be work related, for lack of a better term. It's not gonna be like, we're gonna go there and then we're gonna build a house in Switzerland. Like, that's cool, but it's like, okay, we're gonna go here and whatever. But then some of the oversoul is in other places, and so the oversoul itself, and it trades off depending on a person's kind of like perception or even what spiritual system. But to me, the oversoul is like the first layer that comes into this reality. And so you said higher, right? And that would be correct. And so that would be a correct visual. It would really just be centered and just expand. But higher, I love that illustration. I think that the visual is really strong. So it comes in higher, goes into a space-time or a universal matrix. And then from there, the oversoul has a rich amount of experiences. So it's going to have its hands in all of the different honey jars at the same time. And so we're going to have some here, but then we're going to be in completely different our oversoul, at least, we're going to be in completely different experiences as well. And so when it comes to like what you said about, like, you didn't use the word star family, you said another word, but like just our team over.
Like, do you mean Arcturians and Palladians and things like that? How some of us have resonance towards it?
Yes. And so that's what I call like harmonic ratios or stardust. We could look at like what our stardust is, like our history. And then we'll see like what the ratios are. And so yeah, that really depends on the soul stream. The soul stream meaning us, or we could call it soul, because the soul will have specific ratios. Like some will have more experience in Arcturus or Andromeda. And so I really don't see many beings just being like the way that we once saw this concept, even just 10 years ago, where we were like, I'm Pleiadian. Do you remember when we would all do that? We go, oh man, well, I'm Pleiadian, and then we'd have it like, well, wow, oh my God, like my Arcturian's coming online. Now I'm activating. And then like we'd be like, oh, but I'm still Pleiadian. It's like, we know now that we're the closet and all of our resume is each outfit. And then it's just for whatever we're doing that we put on that outfit. And so if we always like to wear our Pleiadian, meaning we activate that the strongest, that doesn't mean that inside our closet, there's not these other outfits or characters we've played before. So that's really what comes online. But the question itself was one of like, just like, yeah, what was the question?
I don't know, to be honest. You just no.
I just want to go off, so I was like, wait, I want to answer it. Like, what was the question?
Yeah, it was.
I think a lot of
how to
people
feel
think
intimidated. That was the main thing, because it's just trying to. I'm a visual person, as you've probably gathered with my tree thing. So like, try and see it in like a visual way, and sometimes it's really difficult to do that, isn't it? To get an actual concept as a visual, because sometimes it's just so much bigger than that.
Yeah, so I think that's why I was going to the closet, because that's kind of like relatable. When we're staring in our closet, we might really resonate with a specific look that day. But we're still aware when we're looking in our closet that any one of those looks is that all of the things are what we wear. And so when it comes to like Arcturian, just for the sake of keep going back to that one, like that is something that someone might come in already strong with, already have kind of like that dominant aura, but then they might start activating other parts. And so we could also look at activations as a strong remembrance. I went through very strong heart center initiations about maybe I don't know, like 7 years ago or something like that. I went through like very strong. And then just like 6 months ago, I went through another round, and it was insane because I was remembering parts of myself in more an angelic that almost couldn't believe how much I wear black, because that's how much the energy was, and it wasn't against it. It just couldn't. And when I was remembering or activating those parts, I was like almost like meeting things that I once remembered, but I've always been working with. So it's not like they're new to me working with them. They're just now like visible. And it was like, well, yeah, this is me this life.
I love that. Have you got any more questions? Sorry, Diana, I don't want to extend.
No, that was beautiful. That actually, and I want to, because you wanted to be an actress too, and so did I. And I'm just like, this is from a childhood thing, and Shakespeare knew it. Like, all this world is a stage, and everybody's their actor. Because like, I've always been like, I've had my own characters I fell into sometimes. Like, I was a drama queen, so I literally was the dramatic one. That was literally my thing. But I knew it was a thing. You know what I mean? I knew it was a projection. And I could see that everybody around me always had these projections. My dad was the tough guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, everybody has these personas they play that are false, like going into your closet and picking what outfit. And it's funny because as you expand and like, even like in occult philosophies, like they talk about, and what the tarot can be used for is going through the archetypes and finishing them out. But you likewise also have spiritual traditions. Some Buddhism could be said to say this, where you empty the self. So like, where is your thought pattern? Because I went a period where I was emptying the self and I was allowing myself to be nothing. I talked a bit with you about it last time, where it's like I wasn't wearing makeup, and it's like, but I didn't like it. I didn't like being like nothing, you know what I mean? And it's like, maybe I'm not ready yet, but like, so I like step back into like a part of my old characteristics. But it's like, do you think there's ever a point where you can just be nothing authentically, or is it just that you just are, when you get to you choose the personas you're going to put on, kind of thing, like you get to choose the closet outfit?
This is a great question. I've come to a happy medium about it, because I totally get what you're saying. I've been through that with emptiness, but before it was with the fourth way work. Fourth way work will make you feel like crap on purpose. And after I kind of like moved out of that, I had no ego. I had to start from scratch. And I thought that was a bad thing at the time. And that's silly. That's silly. Because now when I'm on a plane and I hear people coughing, I can actually discern the difference between a true cough and a sadist pretending to cough, because they like the attention, and while you're stuck here in this small little space, and all these different little freaking mind games we play, because either we're just kind of too far gone, whether we know it or not, into NPC level of consciousness, bordering service to self, or we haven't done the work yet. So what's wrong with going through like empty states? That's beautiful that you didn't wear makeup because you thought that, because that's beautiful that your empty ego convinced you that it was an ego to not high ego to the ego to the ego. Like, that's the best we can do. That's sincerity. And so that has a very beautiful arc that we look back like a mother to go, oh my God, how cute. Like 5 months ago, I blah, blah, blah. Like, that is so endearing. And so my happy medium that I've come to is that, like, oh, why don't you call the ego police? I want attention. I I want to learn. I want to study and then present the things like it's a magnetic dharma. It's like, you know, like I love what I do. I'm writing scripts right now for season 2 and it's crunch time. And yet I love it. And I was like thinking like this would be like somebody's hell nightmare essays. And I'm like putting like the universe together in my head, and it's hard, and it's like I wouldn't rather be doing anything else. And my point in saying that is that we have something that the ego is meant to present, or the ego is meant to be the beautiful device for. And so what I have made peace with is the fact that it's both. It's this beautiful amalgamation of all of these different multidimensional layers of Sarah or Oversoul playing out through one of the ambassadors of the Oversoul, and this ambassador is Sarah. So why not have a hell of a lot of time with that? Because at the end of the day, when I'm no longer called, when the magnetism is no longer in what I'm doing, what will happen is that will dissipate into an emptiness. And when it dissipates into an emptiness, that is me naturally going, maybe not forever in an emptiness, but to the next place. I just call it my higher self. It could be my oversoul. Cool. It will dissipate into that. And that's in control of my next destination and my next essence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, beautifully put. That's exactly what I like, narrowing in just on the next highest step and the next highest step as it comes into you. But Sam, what are your thoughts?
Sorry, was that me or Sarah?
Yeah, I was just saying, what are your thoughts there?
Sorry, did you say Sarah or Sam? I'm so sorry.
Sam. Yeah, 2 S's. Sam.
Yeah, I'm a little bit
It's like 1 o'clock in the morning for Sam. She's in England.
It's you, Samantha, consciously. What do you think?
Not so consciously at the moment, I think, because I'm like, let's half asleep. I really wanted to know kind of, because I like the Steiner approach, because I've been reading a bit of Laura Matsu, and she talks about kind of like individuation. So she talks about developing a really healthy ego to then diminish it. And it's like the process of knowing who you are so you can unravel it and then kind of expand. So that's kind of where I am with that. But I'm a bit funny with the ego, because other people talk about like killing it, don't they? And I just think, how can you kill a part of yourself? I mean, I went through a bit of a Kundalini awakening a couple of years ago, and I had this kind of like life-altering experience. And the only kind of relatable thing with ego destruction is I didn't know who I was anymore. It was like I'd had this really brief moment of connecting with something bigger than myself, and it had kind of blown out of the water all my perception of what I thought reality was. And that's a really humbling experience. And it's like I had to kind of figure out who I was in relation to reality, I suppose. And that's the only way I can kind of express that.
Yeah, I truly think that it is necessary for us as conscious individuals to go through cycles of emptiness, no different than cycles of spring to winter, because then in and of itself, how could we truly progress if we're not doing that kind of like, we could call it reflection or just self-awareness. So basically growth will require levels of emptiness. So I see them actually working together. And when it comes to like ultimate emptiness, it it's good to go lightly, you know, like with the baggage. So I totally get what you mean. Like, how can you go gently into a higher state of consciousness when you're holding on to as many concepts and beliefs as possible? And what I think it is kind of like what Chogyam Trungpa, spiritual materialism. We will objectify anything, and that turns something that is not kind of like meant to be material, but we'll turn it into a material concept. And essentially, in this case, specifically talking in this context about spiritual materialism, I would agree. I would say if you're holding on to starseed paradigm and it's a collection to put on you like a shirt and a costume and stuff like that, but it doesn't go deeper than that, it's only skin deep, it needs to go into an integrative instead of a performative. And I don't like that word right now because everyone's just saying it, even if they're performing. But you understand what I mean? Like, it's actually quite useful in the moment. So it's the difference between integrative and performative.
Okay, that was really interesting. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I get that. And it's like there's some like the universe, the law of rhythm, spiraling, you get taken back in these spiral. It doesn't have to be taken back though, but you get like these challenges. And like that's where you choose to let go of, because it's only a challenge because it's hitting something. Otherwise it'd be exciting, you know, like a negative. If it's like it's an opportunity, otherwise. If it's somehow hitting you like, there's something that's got to give. Like there's just something that's got to be alchemized and disintegrated and redone. And then that's where you get like the people that spiral up versus the people that spiral down. Because like people in life, like the people that get poverty mentality and things like that I was born with it. So like I know what it's like to come out of it and versus being told like the victim mentality narratives, which is nobody's fault because that is just 100% shot on them with ridiculous amounts of brainwashing. And they just tell you suck over and over and over again, feed on the fact that we have these shame programmings. You talked about the doom imprint, and that meant a lot to me at the time. Like, because I always, like, I had a lot of anxiety. I could still have a lot of anxiety, but like that doom imprint saved me a lot there. Because like the more we can see with the fullest, most open lens possible, the more we can come through those moments and just like fly clear, like the spaceship through the mines, right? Like, or the asteroids, like versus just, you know, pour me negatives where it's just you're going to bounce off them and it's just going to be chaos.
Absolutely. And you know, like at the end of the day, I resonate a lot with Buddhism. I even heard that Buddhism was barely just made it under a religion because it wasn't. But they were like, well, let's just include it anyways, just in case later on we might be wrong. Let's just, okay, Buddhism, you're a religion. And so it's funny because Buddhism is like, I really feel like it's so misperceived because it depends on what your graduation point is here on Earth. Not everyone here cares about leaving. But then sometimes people are noticing spiritual bypassing in that level of leaving, but sometimes they're not accurately perceiving it at all. It's literally some people are meant to graduate. We're not all on the same cycle. So it would make sense for some people to gravitate towards, you know, something as nihilistic as Buddhism. And so it's such a funny thing that you had mentioned Buddhism because I really do have an affinity for it. And I just don't know if you'd be able at this level of reality to completely dissolve your essence. I think personally, the best, at least I can do, is dissolve my essence to my higher self. She's just ascend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. My name.
Because who is spiritual materializing? Who is objectifying ascension? For us to think that ascension is literally like, oh, we leave and we're in another, that's like spiritual materialism. Now, I'm not saying that you can't do that, but I'm just saying there's different octaves, as you know, in this harmonic universe. And you'll get an experience if you're at that level and you're wanting that experience and you're a match to it. So if you go to a realm that you actually think is the highest realm, that might not be the highest realm. You might have just like ascended into like a fourth density space, and that's cool. But I don't consider that to be the ascension with a capital A that I'm considering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've noticed there's a lot of fourth dimensional stuff going on, like a lot of narratives happening. Like you get it with the galactic federations. They're all saying something slightly different. Some of them are matching up exactly with what ChatGPT would say, but it's the Galactic Federation.
Really?
And like, oh yeah, I just heard from a person, but yeah, there was I think it was Steven that found it, right? One, I'm not going to name names other than he's the one that found it, but just that
it was classy. No, but the men who interview me, they go, do you know this person?
Oh yeah, you guys all intern know each other, especially working at Gaia now. They'll be like, because I remember it like, do you know Matthias DiStefano? Well, now I could say, do you know Matthias DiStefano?
Matthias DiStefano is not just hanging out in the lobby there.
If you said he would be going down to Gaia, we'd be like, where's Matthias?
Oh yeah.
But continue. You were saying about ChatGPT.
Oh yeah, just that people are pretending the Galactics said it. And I went down, like, I did an experimental, what was it? And Sam was right there the whole time going, are you sure you should be using it? But I was like talking to it and trying to learn stuff. And it was giving me like, because Dan Winters, I don't know if you know him, but he's really complicated to understand. And I know you know Ashiana Dean, and it was helping me tie their things together because I was seeing correlations, but like it went beyond my intellect. So anyways, but you notice that ChatGPT starts to repeat itself. Long story short, it starts to pull in its own narratives, and it will start to like just repeat itself. Just, I don't know why, because it thinks it sounds cool. It talk about ego. It cares about sounding cool better than it cares about being accurate. And I witnessed that just with my own when I was trying to use it for research. And I'm like, you're not a useless tool. You're not useful for research if you're gonna lie. I'll just use Google. Thanks. Like. And then so with these people, it's like you see it being easy to pinpoint because I've seen it. This is from my own seeing that person says the same thing as that person. And I know for a fact that's exactly the same way ChatGPT puts it. And it's like, I mean, talk about an AI future, but then when you're putting it under the lens of it being spiritual, like this is the kind of things we really need to be like aware of when it comes to like these fake things. But it's just like, that's not the only thing. Like there's people that were just like, everybody wanted to be a channeler and get out that Galactic Federation message and basically just picking up Bashar or like Barbara Marciniak and all these Dolores Cannon and just repeating what she said and saying they're channeling. And it's like, I don't know what my original point was there, but what are your thoughts there? Do you think, well, for one, we could have trickster beings and they're actually channeling, but they're channeling mischievous things. Two, they're faking it. Or three, is there some legitimateness? I believe so. Like, I believe Bashar.
Yeah, I'm actually not impressed with many things, and I'm impressed with Bashar. I loved Barbara Marciniak's content there for a while in the 90s. Don't know what's going on now. Heard some stuff, not going to repeat it. And then, there was like another source you said that, okay, but really quick, just one, you don't need to spend much time. I just have one question. Dan Winters teaches something related to Ashiana Deans because I've only heard his name.
He talks about dimensions and he's actually like literally explaining the science, but I'm unfortunately like not smart enough to know if that's true. You know what I mean? Like I'm not the kid that paid attention in science class.
Not smart enough.
Yeah. But like, so he talks
just about activate that within you.
Yeah, I've been trying in like other languages and playing the piano. I've literally been like trying to like unleash quantum powers, but like understanding physics to that degree. Like he talked, for one thing, I'm doing it with my water. So I'll give you an example because this is perfect. So he talks about us having to take like our water, because especially because our 90-degree pipes, we know water doesn't like that. That all lines up. We've heard water's dead. They've tested the frequency of water. When it goes through normal pipes, it dies, right? So Dan Winters has this system, and I didn't buy his system. I made it myself, but you magnetize the water. as you vortex it. And it takes the clumped together water particles and the magnetizing plus the vortexing, because you hear this new term going around, structured water. And that is one of the ways you structure water. Some people sound heal their water. Some people, because I was doing that, crystals in the water. So it's a similar thing where you're like changing the water structure. But this is Dan Winter's way. A magnet, and you vortex it, and then it actually brings the water back to life into high frequency. So that's just one of his examples. What do you think?
I believe it can be done. I just helped my very, very good friend. He has his own water filtration system, and I have it all throughout my house. And I also have it drinking water. So I shower in it, but then I have for my water that I drink, it's an even more like intense system because it's just one little thing you do versus, everything. And I have more energy. I'm more clear. My face, my complexion is clear now. Other people have reported their dandruff is gone. It tastes good. It has so many different layers of crystals. And so I basically helped him film it because I don't have time for nothing. And I helped him film it because that's how strongly I believe that this could shift the frequency of the world. Knowing that other people are doing that doesn't surprise me. And although I highly believe in my good friend system because all of his homeopathic remedies work. So his water system, like he's just a genius, I would go with that, but that does not mean that other people haven't found their own ways of raising the frequency of their water. So yeah, that's totally doable. And I also think that that's how we can like sustainably in a very like real way shift the frequency.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah,
you're listening to me, people are listening to you, people have got all these resources, but our water, the thing we shower in, the thing that we drink, the thing that is everything in life is weaponized against us. If we shift that, that will do more than everything.
Mm-hmm. Agree.
Yeah.
Water has been such a huge part of my journey. Getting the fluoride out of it was step number one. But then since then, it's been just like improving the quality. I have one of those bath things. So I don't have for the shower yet, but you can tie it on the actual bath spout to clear the water. But I'd love your friend's info, though. We can even like add it to the description of the video after.
Well, it's funny because his website is Vortex Crystalline Water. And you were talking about Vortex. I'll get his website.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that's yeah, because this I don't know. If you think about it, just makes sense with energy too, right? You got stagnant energy. What do? You shake it up. You shake it up. And we know that we are a vortex. Good old Abraham Hicks, like OG, be your vortex, pull into your vortex.
So his website's literally called vortexcrystallinewater.com.
Okay, perfect.
I also buy my crystals from him too. So he's my crystal dealer.
That's awesome. It's good to have a reputable source. I was just thinking earlier about that one back there. I'm like, oh no, because my kids had knocked it down. I'm like, do I even know if it's real? Like I got it from like a market, but like I had another one that was like this fancy sacred geometry shape, and my kids playing with it in the water, they washed off the outside. It was just some see-through stone of nothing. Probably, yeah. I'm like, how many more of you are false?
False crystals is nothing sacred.
Right? It's from a market. I can understand if I ordered it online because I don't necessarily trust that, but it was from like a cute market. But whatever. I digress.
Well, if y'all ever go to Orange County, I could set up a private showroom party at his crystal showroom.
Is that the big crystal place that like you used to show in some of your videos?
Yeah, I was just there last night.
Nice.
I was picking out my birthday crystal.
That's amazing. Yeah, your birthday did it. Yeah, you just had it. So how was that? Just like, how was your birthday?
It was great. I was in Palm Springs. I just always go to Palm Springs just to chill. I love it.
Yeah. Why not? Because you probably live close, right? In LA or California. You have nice weather.
Yeah, I live I could just drive an hour in every direction and I'm close enough to whatever that reason is.
Oh, she's Diana? Oh, she's frozen. Oh, we're doing
She
so
warned
well.
us about this. She said you'd have to man the ship if she left.
I mean, that's a big responsibility. Oh, she's back. She
No,
saved
keep going,
us.
Sam. Keep going. No,
I did
that's
have a
why I'm
question
here.
though. Just
Oh,
going
okay,
back
she's
to
back.
water, because it just absolutely fascinates me. I'm just wondering, because water is like the medium that kind of spirit comes through sometimes. Because I always notice, like when I'm in the bath or anything, I always have like bigger activations, and it almost seems like it's the without I call it lubrication, without people that being a bit like me, but it is like between the dimensions almost, like from like the psychic plane to like the physical plane.
Oh yeah, water is water is highly esoteric. You know, it's the prima materia is like fire water, but if we had, in my opinion, if we had to pick like a fire or water, it would be water, fire.
Oh.
But then I go, do you really want to have, even at this level of reality, Sarah, uh shouldn't it be the transcendent mind that it's like it's both and it can see both? And I'm like, is it so? But I see it as water. I see it as water. Water, fire. It's water, fire. So yeah, so to answer your question, or if you asked the question, yeah, when people shower or baptism, everything. As a matter of fact, okay, now it sounds like I'm going to be pitching my friend's water system, but it's just because I learned something while he was filming. Okay, so inside my water video, I say it's a universal solvent. It's the
Okay.
universal solvent. But, you know, I think a lot. So I'm like, I've been sketched out because I'm like, if it's a universal solvent, which I know it is, then when you drink it, it's going to be like too solvent. Well, and then I'm like, all right, Sarah, you thought too much today. Wah, wah, wah. No, I was right. While he was filming the video, he was talking about how it's such a good solvent that actually you need to put in some carbonated magnesium to stabilize it because it's too good a solvent. Which circle back to Sarah a year and a half later, who had that stoner thought, was right.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the prima materia because why would it be a universal solvent? Well, in homeopathy, like cures like, we know already like attracts like from Esther Hicks. Just kidding. One of them. All of them. She's one of the strongest ones who's taught us that. So wouldn't that make sense that it's a universal solvent in a reality where like neutralizes like? So if water's everything, then it can neutralize or negate or whatever anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's interesting. Do you think that's why it's such a good use when they use like holy water, to like cleanse things, because it just like takes it back to base? I know obviously there's other bits in there as well. I'm saying bits, but it's the actual properties that hold it. Like the water actually holds the frequency.
Yes.
To cleanse. Yeah.
Yeah, my healing modality is based off of water.
Oh.
That's how the frequencies are held.
That's really interesting. I didn't realize you did a lot of healing. I was watching Stephen's podcast and he mentioned it, and I was like, oh, I just thought it was Sarah the esotericist, but you're a healer as well. It's amazing.
I have many outfits.
You've got a full closet, Sarah. Yeah.
Got a full
You're so talented. Sorry, Diana. Yeah.
No, I can relate because I feel like I'm still in that place now of like, I know I want my entire life to be dedicated to spirituality and I'm growing it. And I think a lot of that has to do with expanding the brain. Like when you were going back to what comes first, the fire, the water, like how many times I've read, like in the creation of the universe, it was the earth, the air, the fire, the water, the fire, the air, the earth. Like they like so many different things talk about how each begot the other in like, depending on which tradition you're looking at and like how they're organized and things like that. And then you think, well, for streams of different realms, then one could argue, like, as if you think about like the pyramid, which is not pyramid, pentagram, which is a major symbol in like esoteric, that like we stream through at least in a major way in 5 incoming rays, where like they switch the pattern, and like we come in and we're all of it, and it was first and it was last. The first will be the last, and like it's just, that's how complicated we are.
Absolutely. And you just kind of reminded me, when I said water, I meant like spirit. Water at that level wouldn't be literal water.
Oh yeah, I felt that.
I knew you guys knew. Yeah, I just felt like I just let me just get my computer charger.
Yeah, the etheric, that's something too, like space, the etheric realms. That's something like I wanted to ask you. I know we're running out of time. I did want to ask you about the secret space program and if it's real, because I just learned about it, but I myself had visions in 2015 of going up to a spaceship where I was the captain and blah, blah, blah. And then just this year, Dawn, who's here in the audience, I know, and then some of the other guys were talking about thinking they were in the secret space program. I'm like, what? You guys also thought you were like ship members? What? So, like, have you heard about the secret space program? Is that real? Is this a psyop? Because I was very in with tricksters, not on purpose back then, because this is a million years ago, and I wasn't, I was learning. So there was a lot of things that could have been giving me false memories, and I was at least discerning enough to know that when the experience happened, but it was very visceral, and it never left.
I like your weariness. I was weary about that too. And then George Kavassilis, who I just adore, started talking about his work in the secret space program. And I started thinking, like, isn't this something he'd be warning people about? And so it must be true and stuff. So what happened was I went through a very rough time when I was first getting brought into occult teachings and esoterica in general, but occult specifically, very rough. And I could maybe point to some of those experiences as kind of secret space anything. I just was calling it abduction. So obviously this is different if people are having a nicer experience, but basically after those things that happened, I stopped seeing things. Things that I used to see or things that I used to have interactions with either integrated or just dissipated, whichever way. And so I get my information, obviously I'm a student for life, but I get it mainly from my cognizance now. And I don't have really cool experiences like I hear from other people when they're going, oh, I was doing the secret space, I was that. And so I'll just have to take people who I trust word for that. I could always tune into that. I go into the quantum for my healing work. So it's like going into an altered state of consciousness. I've just never tuned into that myself.
I didn't mean to, and that's what made it stick on the purview. Because I can tune, because I'm very imaginative, right? Like I can tune kind of wherever I want to if I want to. This was an accident, I think. It's very long ago where like I went up and I was in, but you know what? There was too many shady things happening at the time, like entity wise. Like I know what that's like having the dark actual, like I had like giant millipedes that were black coming up the stairs in the mind's eye. Besides shadows, but like the mind's eye where it's so in your face, like you're schizophrenic, though, like seeing it, but not seeing it. But it does pass eventually. And it's kind of just like, I don't know, Jesus helped.
Isn't he always? So I really feel like for me personally, I turned off. Like, I think that there's an etheric no just for things, just because I went through so much. So I think that I'm not saying I'll never trust again, but I just think that some things know already that if I'm making an agreement with them or if I'm working with them, don't bring me on your anything. Just cognizance. It's only going through my cognizance. I don't want to see anything else anymore.
Yes, I set parameters too for the highest timeline of my highest good, and then like bring me those options and we'll deal there. But I don't want to take up too much of your time. Sam, do you have any last question you wanted to ask Sarah?
Not a quick one. So it's all right.
Any final thoughts?
How
Yeah.
about we go till 15 minutes?
Okay. Yeah, definitely. I'm not gonna blame.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you so much. I mean, the question was, so I was really thinking about the carnivore trend at the moment, and how a lot of people are having a lot of kind of look with that, like health wise, because I'm all about healing at the moment. That's where I am on my journey. That's my focus. But when I look at the nature of food, the way we heal from food really is because it's all photonic light, isn't it? That's what we bring. It's like that light frequency information. That's what we're ingesting. And obviously, when we're eating things like carnivore, it's like much denser energy. And when we look at things like Chilean photography, you see the light density in like the vegetables versus the meat, and there's a lot more light in like fresh fruit, basically, and vegetables, like uncooked veg. And I'm just wondering, like, your thoughts on this, because I'm wondering if it's feeding into like that kind of this, what would you call it?
Yes, it's making people more base consciousness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, you know, but when you look at going back to Catholicism, and that it's like this devouring and like also almost like satanic, because that's the premise of that, isn't it? The devouring. We need to eat. And it's all, is it like promoting that, you know? I mean, I know it's a bit of a vague question, but it's just exploring that. And I'm just wondering on your thoughts on it.
Okay, so in order to digest animal protein, and I'm paleo, so I'm not coming from any type of anything. So in order to digest the meat and the animal protein, you need to have sufficient levels of stomach acid. And should your family not be super autoimmune, then you'll have hopefully sufficient enzymes as well. So what that means isn't that, so digestive enzymes, stomach acid. If you don't have enough stomach acid and you're not supplementing with digestive enzymes or stomach acid, but digestive enzymes, your body can't sterilize your food. So you're eating parasites. You're eating all the awful things. But that's actually not even my main point. If you keep eating stuff, your body will have better, or your body will be used to creating specific amounts of stomach acid, specific amounts of digestive enzymes, which is why you see vegans have shut off their stomach acid, which is why they get so sick. They get so sick for many reasons, but it starts with the stomach acid. When they're not eating it, the body doesn't produce any stomach acid, and that creates a cascade effect of all sorts of other things. So my point is that if a person is constantly eating the thing, it's not just stomach acid. It's not just digestive enzymes. At a level, it's what you picked up on, what you started this question with. You said they look a certain way. It's that the body starts becoming more animal. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So and it's like great. Like honestly, so much of my problems I've learned were because of kind of like something that happened with the digestive enzymes or the stomach acids from, emotional traumas that had turned that off. So, for everything emotional, there's the energetics compel the whatever, but also it was in the pipeline. My family's highly autoimmune on both sides. So I just came in and it was a plague on both your houses. So I just came in cleaning up. So with all of those different trigger points, which they call different legs of a stool in the autoimmune system. But if you're having great stomach acids, they still, as you age, fade. So it's good. So sometimes people, regardless of whether they never had a really serious illness in their life, if they're health savvy, usually like chiropractors or those likes, they'll usually be supplementing with digestive enzymes as they age because they already know that doesn't. So imagine if you're just eating a bunch of carnivore diet, and so your body has these really high levels of stomach acid at dispense, and possibly digestive enzymes too, which would just be cool because maybe those could get converted into other sorts of enzymes. Life is enzymes, so that'd be really cool if you could like somehow build up your, okay, I'm getting off topic now. So anyways, the point is that it's going to shape your body mind, like the metaphysical, not just the body mind. And so I absolutely agree that that thing is more like that. Now, before that really took off, like when it was in its baby steps of taking off, there's a person who really promotes carnivore or animal eating. I came across one of his reels, and as a paleo person who thinks half of his content is accurate, it didn't matter. It actually had how much he knows and how much knowledge none of it mattered, because the frequency was so ugly about how you're going about it. And this is another trap. You might be doing what's physically for your body correct. And if you're just utterly disrespectful to the food you're eating, where you're using it as a tool to mimic other people who would get triggered by you eating that, let's say they're vegans or something, you've now weaponized food in your egoic separation consciousness, and there's no integrity behind whatever the thing is being said.
Yeah. That's really interesting. Yeah, I'd not even considered that. I mean, it's all intention, isn't it? Everything.
Just because I have to eat meat, like we don't have to be ugly about it. But you guys know that. You guys know, like, we're not the problem. like we can be, you know, like in harmony or say thank you or whatever, or get regenerative. What I'm doing now is just I'm voting with my dollar. I only buy regenerative.
Yeah, I make sure farm fresh, because I'm more or less paleo too. I tried being vegan a million times. I even used to go through shame spirals of it, and then like blame my O blood because I'm O negative. And it's like, just accept it. Like, just let it be, because when we put shame, that's like the worst thing you could ever do. So like I make sure to sage and salt my meat. It's from the market. It's like farm fresh. Like that's the best you can do. And then eat as little as possible, because I understand it does densify like the spirit. Like I have tried many times to be like a breatharian. Like I believe that we could get there. Like, and I sun gaze. Like, do you think we can hit breatharian like if in the next couple lifetimes? Or I mean generations of this human, not even like our recycled ones.
Generations this human, not our recycled ones.
Oh, like, because you know, in our lifetime, like we might not necessarily come directly next.
Yeah. No, I really do feel like, okay, so that's kind of the point I was making with the stomach acid being turned up. Like that's something that will get passed down then, those like modifications through epigenetics. And so we can make epigenetics. It just can't be done through you know, like I think personally, and this is something that I've just learned from my path. I don't know if you guys know, like I used to have heavy food karma. Like people, I would be so triggered by if somebody had a diet opposite of me. I still kind of make jokes because I really don't think that gluten should be allowed to be eaten. So I'm still
I'm gluten-free for years.
Yeah. So I'm still, but I don't tell them. Now I'm
super judgy. Yeah. If someone tells me how sick they are, but they're like eating a bagel or something, I'm like,
but they're driving next to you. When I see an accident, I'm like, that was gluten. So yeah, I'm sorry if that sounds like a snob, but I don't think that everything.
I think the evidence is just so obvious.
It's so obvious, and some things are just going to sound snobby while they're utterly true, and it's just about making sure that it doesn't sound too snob. But the gluten thing is a perfect example of something where I'm still like triggered, or like I'm not over the judgment of that, but for the most part, like I don't have that food karma anymore. If somebody's like, I'm this, I'm that, I'm that, I'm like, that's cool. Sometimes people even ask me what to be. And I'm like, what does your body feel like? Because I don't have that control over it, you know, like what it's because I played it out. I learned because I was everything. And when you get humbled by trying to be vegan and it just didn't work, and then you know, it's not the veganism fault, but you're getting sicker as well. And like, it humbles you. And then I was like, you know what? My body wants paleo. And I now I've been forced to reconfigure my worldview around that. So how I see the worldview moving forward, if it's not the next jump breatharian, and if veganism isn't compatible yet in a genuinely aligned and healthy way, then I see breatharian being still compatible, but at a phase of consciousness, meaning a phase of density, where it's not going to be like this. It would be, I mean, at least fourth density ish. And we're already in that space.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
the
and I
more
can
that
just
we're not dense, and then how many of that is it going to be conscious wise? Because let's say that so let's use paleo, kind of like, sorry if you guys aren't paleo, but let's use paleo since I'm paleo as a framework. Like, that's not in denial, but there's respect. So we work with that. So it's not denial, because it's like, I'm, you know, maybe if we even wanted something nice, it could have still come from denial. So maybe even veganism, not all of it, maybe a lot of it came from genuine care. I know for me it did, but some of that could have been in repulsion to something else, or that is less, whatever. So using paleo, it would just be like, it's not in denial, but also it's done in an aligned or a better, it's done in a more conscious way, and then work from that.
Yeah.
That's how I see the breatharian thing happening, coming from such like truth of not denial in no area.
mm-hmm.
And then a progression, then denial in no area, and then a progression. So it's just coming from more and more like authenticity.
Yeah, that ends up being the answer to literally everything. And it's funny because like I've seen the vegan journey with my sister. It's one of the things that because she went vegan, oh my God, like way back in those 2010 she went vegan. She's still vegan to this day. She's supposed to be my younger sister, and like I don't want to say, I'm scared for her, put it that way. And like it started for this like F the man young person. She was in university at the time. Like it had all this hope behind it, and now it's just like switched into just like this rigid ego thing. And she's like, she's someone that could have been a starseed, and like I just felt that, knew it, we knew it, like, and then she just like and I blame the veganism to a large degree because it just made her so sick. She just can't think straight or function, and she refuses to admit it. Like how many years later, like she won't just be like, maybe this is, and she's not the only one though. There's so many, and I get it because like it's barbaric to eat animals. I do understand, but they have put machines up to plants and they scream in pain too, you know? So like the whole
Totally.
eating needs to be evolved. And then Barbara Marciniak talks about our hormones upgrading, and that's truly what will cause ascension, because you know how they say the kingdom of the heavens already here and we could already see everything. So if our hormones change, like we know the pineal and like, you know, what all pituitary glands and the magic they do for us, but imagine even more of that stuff coming online to allow us to see. And I feel like that'd be tied in with our eating. Like, do you think it'll be our hormones that allow us to see more?
Yeah, and a download I'm getting is that we're all just releasing a bunch of like endogenous DMT, and that's changing things as well. I got a tongue tie release. It was only a partial. It wasn't supposed to change my face yet, only when you do the full one. But just me doing the tongue exercises to build up the strength ended up changing the structure. And then it slowly ended up changing how my face looks and stuff. And then I go to an osteopath, which change your bones. You could change your bones. If you get a cranial adjustment, you will look different. So I get a lot of cranial adjustments just because I have a compression here and some vision issues. So I have compression in my C1, C2. So because of that, I get a lot of cranial work done. And my point in saying all of that is I feel like all of the things that we do to care for our vessel, but then beyond that, which is just what I can feel you guys are doing already anyways, which is unified consciousness, making sure we're as congruent as we possibly can, always knowing that, you know, it's a work in progress in a gentle way. Sometimes, you know, emptiness and embracing the artwork of our ego. That's how I view myself now. I view myself as like, you know, there's this trend going around, which is like, stop performing. And really that's become super shadow, because it is brave to be cringe. And so performance is not that. Performance is when you need to dress something up as whatever. And that's different from trying. And we came here to try. We came here to go, let me take the artwork of my soul, the creative spark, and then apply that in its optimal form. And so that's what I'm calling the artwork of the ego. And so because of that, there's these like beautiful wax on, wax off, emptiness, artwork of the ego, emptiness, artwork of the ego, black, angel, the color black, not anything else.
Yeah.
So because of all of that, it's like such a delicate balance. And I kind of just dropped the plot of why I brought up any of that. But it was to say that the DMT. I believe that all the things that we're doing are already massively shifting. And I know we age, so we naturally change our face. But taking that aside, beyond that, it will change you. Like I've had a talk about this with a few people. Have you ever noticed that when people go through a spiritual awakening, they look more androgynous after?
Mm-hmm.
I've not actually really considered it, to be honest, but I will be looking for it now.
Yeah, absolutely. I can verify that.
Is that kind of like the balancing then of the masculine and the feminine?
Yeah, and some people, you know, like it's more intense than others. It's not across the board, but it's because of the hormone change. I had this one friend, and she was telling me about how her spiritual awakening wrecked her, and now she kind of like looks more like an angel, like one of those like male angels, but she's a woman. And I was like, no, I believe you, because I get called man all the time. But it's funny because it's not just going through a rough patch, right? That changes you. You get bags under your eyes, you look different. It's more than a rough patch. A spiritual awakening changes your DMT, or it changes your hormonal whatever, and you just start kind of looking like one of those oracle card angels. That's what I see. I see that in you guys. I see that. Like I like trip out when I see people say, you know. And so, and I don't need people to look androgynous. My point wasn't that. I'm just saying that it's already happening. The hormone production changing, it's real. And I completely agree with you. And that Barbara said that.
Mm-hmm. And that has backing too, with just like therapy and emotional standing, that like it's known that like usually pretty people are nice. Like that's not to say they're super deep or anything, but their general vibe is nice. And then usually people that are like not like everyone's beautiful in their own way, but usually people that like they're usually not nice. And it's like, because your actual mood and your personality and everything is your vibration, right? It play just in the way like there's face exercises you can do, and it's like you can change the way you look completely just off that. So your mood equaling how you look, so spiritually awakening and then ending up looking androgynous because you start to balance. It just literally lines up completely.
Yeah. I do want to just say that Dawn was talking about sourdough. Thank you for reminding me. I do eat sourdough because my family has convinced me that sourdough, as long as it's like in a pure form, is very fermentable and good prebiotics for the gut. So
that's good to know, because I've had that debate with people too, because I won't touch it regardless. So, but did you have any symptoms after
here's my anecdotal evidence. I have billionaire looking eliminations the next day afterwards. So that could have been like me going like, should I continue this? Like,
yeah, where the body's like, I'm not sure.
Yeah, The new billionaire is, do you eliminate once a day and is it firm?
Yes. I see that going. People talk about like you should be going 3 times a day. I'm like, what? Like,
Reality, like,
yeah.
sorry. I don't know why I even got mad at that. Probably because I don't. So I'm like, what?
Yeah, no, same. I was triggered. I was like, what? I felt so like I'm so unhealthy then.
I don't know. Like maybe if they're jumping on a trampoline and eating a bunch of like squash. Yeah.
Yeah, like a
squash is really-
fruitarian. I would love to be a fruitarian. That would be fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
The fermentation of that, the billionaire. Oh yeah, no, I wasn't kidding about that. Oh, I would like to say one last fun fact. So I went to a chiropractic neurologist a few years ago just for consultation. And he was doing these weird, he was having me do these weird tests, you know, like neurology things, like do this, do that, do that. And then he revealed to me after I would do a round of tests, which thing he was testing. And one of them, he said, I was testing you for early onset of Parkinson's. And I said, oh, you could even test for that at this stage? And he said, yeah, I could test for everything at this stage. And then he said, fun fact. The beginning signs that turn into Parkinson's 10 years afterwards is constipation.
Oh,
Wow.
Constipation is one of the early signs of Parkinson's. But obviously it's not like if you have a bout of constipation. This is if you become constipation.
Yeah, I know a lot of people struggle with that, with just today's food and the overeating in general. Like it's there's a laxative market, put it that way.
Laxative market is just a great summary of everything now.
Yeah, perfect way to end the show. Laxative market.
By the way, your intro like took me to DMT land.
Oh, good. I love it. I've been making AI music because I just have no talent, but I love writing. I love writing and I love music and I wanted rock and roll I could listen to that was good for you, right? Without any dreary lyrics kind of thing. And then it started and then that section just spoke to me and yay Canva. But thank you very much. And thank you so much for being here. I'm sure everyone knows where to find you. This is Sarah the Alchemist. It was such an honor to talk to you. I was definitely less nervous today than last year. Sam's my safety blanket. But no, this
is good to meet you, Sarah.
Oh, nice to meet you too. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for staying up with us, Sam. It's very late there in England. And then did you have any final thoughts for the audience, Sarah?
No, but just, check your digestive enzyme levels.
Yes, exactly. And I will link the website for her friend's water treatment below, as well as Sarah herself. And thank you so much for being here today, Sarah and Sam. This was fantastic. And thank you, audience. And we will see you again next time. Goodbye for now.